This is part 7 of my recap on the demonic king who chases his wife. At the end of the last episode, Sue and her friends explore her mother's secret grounds. Sue was poisoned by Sean, but Liao saves her at the instruction of her master. Meanwhile, Jin became the White Lord and started working with the assassin clan. Sue and Liao spend the night together, and Liao seems to be finally over Jin. In the morning, Jin suddenly appears, but Sue stomps on him because she is still mad at him for leaving. Jin apologizes and tells her that he has found a map for the secret grounds. Now that Jin is back, Liao decides to take her leave. But as she is leaving, she feels something is wrong, noticing the marking on Jin's arm to be of the assassin clan. She rushes back, but the two are nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Jia punishes Yun by feeding him to the carnivorous plants. She casts a spell on him and leaves, as the plants are left to devour him. She meets up with the other assassins and they tell her that Jin has found Sue. But instead of taking her back to their headquarters, it seems he is leading her to the Temple of Inheritance. Jia uses her tracking spell and sees them heading for the temple. The Red Lord, Han, appears and says that he never trusted Jin. They join hands, and Han teleports them to the temple's location. Thanks to Han's superior space magic, they arrive before Jin and Sue. Han tells them that this is also a cemetery that the goddess mercifully created for all the casualties from their war. He swears to sacrifice Sue to bring back the goddess and restore the assassin clan's power. Later on, as Jin and Sue arrive at the temple, Jin warns Sue to think carefully before accepting her mother's request. Sue asks if he knows something she doesn't, but Jin just promises that he will be there to support her no matter what she decides. They share a kiss, and Sue heads on to the temple. She heads up and enters through the portal. Jin then opens up a space and tells Han that they are too late and Sue has already entered the temple. Han breaks open the space and realizes they were tricked. They were in a fake area created using the acacia tree's paper magic. Han wonders why Jin would join and betray them, because now he has lost the ability to kill and will be affected by their punishment magic. A magic circle forms under Jin and he suffers from their spell, but the Grandmaster suddenly appears and says that because Jin took his spot as the White Lord, he is no longer a part of the assassin clan and is free to kill the traitors. He blasts them all with his magic, and Han tries to escape using his space magic but gets stopped and forced to the ground. He is surprised that the Grandmaster is on another level because Sue's mother had given him half her power. The Grandmaster tells Han that he lost his way and finishes him off. The Grandmaster then goes to tend to Jin's wounds, and Jia manages to grab the red token. There is a flashback to Jin's confrontation with the Grandmaster. The Grandmaster tells him that if his plan succeeds, Sue will ascend and he will not be able to be with her. Jin doesn't like the options between this and the assassin clan's plan, but he decides to work with the Grandmaster as long as he promises to let Sue decide on her own. The Grandmaster agrees with the condition and hands his white token over to Jin. The Grandmaster tells Jin that he is now the master of the assassin clan, but he has no interest in it and destroys the white token. We also see that Yun survived, thanks to Mei and her master. They all end up meeting together and wait for Sue to return. Meanwhile, Sue climbs to the top of the temple and discovers a statue of her mother who suddenly appears in front of her. Her mother explains that this is just a part of her consciousness that she left behind. She tells Sue that she has been watching over her whole life and has seen all the struggles she has been through. She then goes on to explain that the world is made up of 3 realms, but it is actually possible for anyone to ascend to the God realm with enough hard work. But the gods intentionally lied about this so there would be fewer gods. Because of the rules of heaven, every 100,000 years, a being known as the God Slayer emerges to kill all the gods, and they wanted fewer people to suffer this fate. So when the gods heard the God Slayer was reincarnated, they tried to find him before he awakened. But as they were searching for the child, there was a traitor among the gods, and she was the only one who managed to escape to the human realm. After that, she founded the assassin clan and continued to search for 100 years, but as she was about to give up, she was given an inscription written by past gods who were looking for a way to survive. And that was for a powerful space sorcerer to create an entirely new universe, free from the heaven's rules and the God Slayer. Sue gets excited when she learns it was her father that gave her mother the inscription. She asks about his whereabouts, but her mother tells her that he died protecting her during the war. Her mother tells her that, to create a new universe, she would have to sacrifice herself and ultimately become the space itself, so she would not be able to be with Jin. Sue is conflicted with the decision, and her mother tells her to think of the greater good and says that she has 3 days to decide. Sue gets teleported outside with the others, and the space begins to collapse, so they all retreat back to Hell City. They enjoy a meal together, and Sue finally realizes the identity of Jin's master to be Master Long, and thanks him for taking her in and training her on Earth. Long reveals that Yun was a double agent against his father and the assassin clan, and only stabbed her because it was the Grandmaster's order. He says that his feelings towards her have never changed, and asks her to come back to him, but Sue awkwardly rejects him and he leaves. Later that night, Yun goes to find Sue, but is confronted by Jin. Yun believes he is still in Sue's heart, and the two start a fight. As they battle, Yun recalls how he was always there for Sue, compared to Jin, who has only been with her for a few months. But Jin responds, saying that time is irrelevant when you meet the right person. Jin overwhelms Yun in the end, and tells him that he does not understand Sue. Meanwhile, Long and the Grandmaster relax in the hot spring, and Long recalls how the Grandmaster almost killed Sue. When he fought with Han, Sue was dropped off the cliff, but thankfully Long was there and caught her. The Grandmaster realizes this and feels that he owes her. Back at the Assassin clan, the assassins wonder what to do now that Han is dead, but Jia reveals the red token and claims the position as master. She tells them all that they have a new goal. Instead of trying to turn back time, they will take Sue's space power to get to a brighter future. Meanwhile, we see that King Ouyang survived after being thrown on the battlefield by the Grandmaster. He has joined with the northern forces and orders them to invade Hell City and capture Sue. Sue stays in her room, thinking about her decision, and the days pass. As the last day approaches, Master Long goes to visit Sue and sees that the Grandmaster is also there. Mei and Ling come running and tell them that they have seen a lot of suspicious people arriving in the city. Long finds it strange because you can only get into the city with a pass. They check his room and see that his seal is missing. The Grandmaster tells them that there must be a mole among them. They quickly go to check on Sue and find it to be Liao pretending to be her. Yun also reveals himself as the one who stole the seal and sold the travel passes into the city. He says that everyone is after Sue, but he is leading them into a trap because Sue has already left. Long wonders how they could teleport away without the Grandmaster knowing, but realizes that they used the secret underground tunnel to escape. Long is angered that all his disciples betrayed him, but Mei tells him that this was Sue's decision. Back on the night that Jin and Yun fought, Sue approached them and explained her plan to them all. She apologizes to Yun for being unable to be with him, but he is still determined to help her however he can. Jin and Sue reach a point where they have to say their goodbyes. Sue tells him she loves him, and Jin responds by casting magic on the lava to make molten hearts float in the air. Back at the Hell City, Master Long punishes Mei for betraying him, and ends up sending them all off to fight off the attackers and clean up their mess. Jia and the assassins arrive, but the Grandmaster confronts them. They try to use their punishment magic on him, but it doesn't work because he is no longer part of the clan. He decides to not kill them, not wanting to destroy what his master created, so he sends them all away. The city has become a battlefield, and King Ouyang gets confronted by Yun. The king tells him once he reverses time, he promises to love and cherish him in the next life. He attacks Yun, but gets defeated in the end. Yun tells him he will spare him if he makes him king. Ouyang hands over the king's seal, but tells him that in order to escape from the north, he made a deal with the leader and offered up most of their lands. Yun declares himself as king and orders the retreat of his troops. Master Long confronts the leader of the northern forces, but is surprisingly blown away. As they are about to clash, Jin suddenly returns to aid his master. The man throws spinning discs at him, but Jin's lightning destroys the weapon. Jin charges up his attack and blows the man away. Meanwhile, Sue gives her decision to her mother. She doesn't want to sacrifice herself, but also doesn't want to let her mother down, so she decides to become stronger so she can defeat the Godslayer one day. Her mother supports her decision and unlocks the Dragon Ring's full power. This raises Sue's power to the next level. And with this power, the acacia tree also evolves, and Ming transforms into a human form. Her mother warns her that the Godslayer will awaken soon, so she must train even harder and find allies she can rely on. Her mother tells her that her father's soul is sealed in the dragon's ring, and Sue wonders if she can bring him back. A beam of light shoots up into the sky, and everyone watches from a distance. Long is surprised that the Grandmaster let Sue make this decision, but he says his debt to Sue has now been paid. Sue had always felt like a prisoner to destiny, but now she finally feels like she knows who she is and is the master of her own destiny. She is joined by Jin, and she wonders what their future holds. But that's where the series ends. Remember to give the video a like and tell me what you liked most about the series in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.